busted. This here's a tale for all the fellas trying to do what those ladies tell us. Get shot down 'cause
I'm Katie, the science lady, and I'm going to be covering for Bill Nye, the science guy today. And we're going to be talking about oxygen. Oxygen's in water. In the air. It's in blood. It's in dirt. Oxygen is everywhere.
Row 2, column 16. It's in the collagen group. Symbol O, atomic number 8, atomic weight 15.999. Electron configuration 1, s to the second, 2, s to the second, 2, p to the fourth. The outside electron 6 is a non-metal, 2 electrons in the first, energy level 6 in the next. It's colorless, odorless, and tasteless. Its boiling point is 90.20 Kelvin, which is also negative 182.95 Celsius and 297.31 Fahrenheit. Its melting point is 54.36 Kelvin, which is also negative 218.79 Celsius, which is also 361.82 Fahrenheit. It's a gas at room temperature. It was discovered by Joseph Priestley and Carl Wilhelm Scheele. It forms about 21% of the atmosphere. It's used in steelmaking, welding, water purification, cement. It is also required for sporting life and 2 bonding sites. Oxygen comprises about 87% by weight of the oceans as H2O, or water. Its crystal structure is cubic. Did you get all that?
We have a special treat for you. We've brought back some guests from the past, so let's send it over to Lizzie and see. Oh my gosh, you scared me there. Anyways, hi, I'm Lizzie here with Joseph Priestley, who helped discover oxygen back in 1771. So doctor, what did you do in your experiment?
Well, I put a spring of mint into a transparent enclosed space with a candle that burned out the air until it went out.
And then what happened?
I relit the same candle 27 days later, and it burned perfectly well in the air that did not support it before.
How did you light the candle if it is in the enclosed space?
I used sunlight beams in a mirror and focused it on the candle wick.
So in theory, you proved that plants change the composition of air?
Yes.
What was the other experiment you did?
I put a mouse in a jar until it passed out.
And then what?
Well, I did the experiment again and found that if a plant was in the jar, the mouse would survive.
And through Dr. Priestley's experiments, he observed that plants release oxygen, and breathing animals and burning candles remove it. Thank you for being here.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you, Lizzie, for that. But we have one more special guest for you, so let's send it back to you. Oh my gosh! They really need to warn me about these things. Anyways, hi again. I'm here with Dr. Carl Wilhelm Scheele. Doctor, please tell us about your discovery.
Yes. I discovered that red-hot manganese oxide produces a gas. When the gas came in contact with hot charcoal, dust brilliant sparks were produced. So I call this gas fire air.
What happened when you repeated the experiment?
I heated potassium nitrate, mercury oxide, and other materials. I found it produced the same gas which I collected in a small bag.
2 years later, what did Dr. Priestley do with your findings?
Well, he repeated my experiments using a 12-inch wide glass burning lens. He focused sunlight on mercuric oxide in a glass container. The gas produced was 5 times as good as common air. He used this air in the same experiments he did before, and the flame burned intensely, and the mouse stayed alive for 4 times longer.
Thank you so much for being here.
Not a problem.
Thank you, Lizzie. We have some breaking news on oxygen, so let's send it over to Megan.
Thanks, Katie. In other oxygen news, there's a growing concern among scientists about the low levels of oxygen in the Pacific Ocean. In certain areas of the Pacific, especially around the areas near Washington and Oregon, there are several types of sea creatures that have been found dead due to lack of oxygen in their part of the ocean. In these areas, types of bacteria have begun to spread around these low oxygenated areas. Not only are these low oxygen levels called hypoxia found in the Pacific Ocean, but they're also being found in deep parts of the Atlantic and Indian Oceans as well. Scientists have found in the last 50 years, oxygen levels in certain parts of the ocean have dropped by 34%. Although scientists aren't positive to why this is occurring, they believe it's happening because of the worldwide climate change. Oxygen is needed for all organisms to survive, and 300 million years ago, there was much more oxygen in our atmosphere. Back in the Permo-Carboniferous era, the air was approximately 35% oxygen, and the excess were enormous. In particular, the dragonflies were much bigger than they are today, with a wingspan of 70 centimeters. The air we breathe today is 21% oxygen, and as we all know, insects are mostly small creatures. This year, at the annual meeting of the Geological Society of America, paleontologists John Vandenbroek, presented an experiment that he completed showing a relationship between oxygen levels and insect growth. In his experiment, Vandenbroek took cockroaches and dragonflies and put them in separate containers, each varying levels of oxygen in them. Although the cockroaches didn't grow at an increasing rate with a higher level of concentration, the dragonflies grew 20% more with a 10% increase in oxygen concentration. This increase in growth shows that oxygen is a key element in the growth of insects, as well as all other living organisms in the world, including us humans.
And now to Lizzie for industry. Did you know that the largest user of oxygen is the steel industry? Modern steelmaking relies heavily on the use of oxygen to enrich air and increase combustion temperatures in blast furnaces and open hearth furnaces, as well as to replace coke with other combustible materials. During the steelmaking process, unwanted carbon combines with oxygen to form carbon oxides, which leave as gases. Oxygen is fed into the steel bath through a special lance. Oxygen is also used for healthcare. It helps out for surgery, intensive care treatment, and inhalation therapy. High standards of purity and handling must be maintained. Oxygen is typically supplied to hospitals through bulk liquid deliveries, then distributed to usage points. It assists with respiratory problems, saving lives, and increasing patient comfort. And I'm sure, as you all know, oxygen is highly involved with environmental uses. When treating wastewater, the use of oxygen instead of air allows increased capacity in existing treatment plants. Injecting oxygen into sewers reduces hydrogen sulfide formation, which results in reduced corrosion and odor.
Thank you, Lizzie, for that.
Busted!